recording now. Okay. So, all right. So right here, how did I get to here? And I started from the my dashboard, and under applications to 2024 Formation. This is like one single application where my idea was any sort of training for farmers, training for VEs, or also like quality control. So when a agent is training or doing quality control on a VE, or when a supervisor is doing follow-up and quality control with an agent, or maybe a FC doing follow-up with somebody. This is a place where this is one app where they can go to record that event, that training or QC event.
Basically, to sum up, you have around one village training in group, personal, VE filter list, VEs training agent filter. Like this is like a embedded application, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Around 9 application
Mm-hmm.
or 9 forms, right?
Yeah. So let me show you kind of what this looks like. Okay, where did we leave off last time? Do you remember? Did we get to
Yeah,
this point
just
about organization structures?
so you just talk about it regarding the property,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
property like a variable,
Yeah.
like yeah,
But we
it's
stopped short
the basic
of
thing.
the concept of users, didn't we? About
Yeah,
mobile
yeah, I
workers.
remember. Yeah,
So
I remember.
we talked about like cases and like case lists,
Yes, case list.
updating properties on case lists. So
Exactly. Yes, I
yeah.
remember.
So when you have mobile workers. So right now I'm logged in to this online platform, but I'm actually a web user. So I'm logged in as my web user account, which is clinton@myagro.org. There's a web user, that's someone who uses this platform, and then there's a mobile worker. So this is someone who is accessing an application on an Android device, right?
Yeah. So Clinton,
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt you, please. How did you get the mobile uh, picture?
Right here.
Yes, yes, this one.
Oh, it's just hidden. So you have to click on this little blue, or what do you, seafoam
I don't
banner.
have it.
You sure?
Okay, okay.
It should be there.
So I just okay.
But you have to be looking at an application. So you need to select an application. And then
Yeah, yeah, you're
once
right.
you
Yeah,
in an
yeah.
application,
Thanks.
yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, I found it. Thanks. Okay, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, so we have web users. I'm a web user right now, but I can also have a mobile worker account, and that will be an account that logs into a application from an Android device on their Android application. So we can manage all these mobile workers through this users tab. So you see here we have application users. These are people who are in the field using it through Android. And then project users are web users. So me right now, I'm a web user. You are also a web user. So a mobile worker is someone like I don't know, ML. So these are all mobile workers in Mali. They just have a kind of a unique ID, Usually we usually use like, in Senegal we usually just use their employee ID. In Mali they usually use their employee ID plus ML at the beginning. Just kind of a convention. So mobile user, that's their username. They have a first name, last name, and then a few other properties that we can set, like the country, title, whatever we want. And then, let's see, when they log into an application with a mobile account, with a mobile worker account, the data that they actually see when they open this up kind of depends on it can depend on like their properties, their information that we define here.
Okay.
And it can also depend on what cases we assign to them. So did we talk about like the village case and how it's basically a list of different villages?
That we assign to a group of people.
Yeah. So you can either assign a village to a user, a specific user. Like how would I do that? If let's say I have a spreadsheet and I'm working with data from this village case. So they always have a case ID and then they have like a name, country, zone, village. They all have something called an owner ID or an owner name. So this is the unique ID for a case. These are all properties like that we define. Like actually name also is like a default. Every case, every row has to have a name. But then these ones are properties that we defined ourselves. You know, when we made the case, we declared these properties, and they're up to us. These ones are more sort of default properties that determine who is going to see this case. It's like we have 4,000 some village cases in this case list, but we don't want everybody to see all 4,000. We want them to just see the 15 villages that belong to them. So you use this owner ID or owner name to define who gets to see it. So if I have a village...
It's like...
Mm-hmm.
It's like a row level security you put,
pretty much.
You put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So if I want this village to belong to ML 55648, and then this one to belong to ML 527 whatever. If I do this and I upload these cases, this user, when they log in to that application, they'll see this row, but they won't see that row.
Yeah.
So it's a way of just...
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's the owner of this case. Yeah, I think that's something we were getting towards, but we didn't quite get there. So that's one way in CommCare of controlling who sees which data, is by making a specific user, mobile worker, an owner of a case. So you're setting a specific case on a case list to be owned by a specific user. That makes sense so far?
Yeah. Like say, it's the same logic behind all the BI tools we know, like Power BI.
Probably, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
there's another way to do this, though. There's a completely different way to do this, which is known as case sharing. And that just means, like, instead of attributing cases to specific users, you can assign a case to a group, like a sharing group. So instead of belonging to this user, you would assign it to a group, which will be usually identified by some kind of code. So assign this case to that group, and then put the worker into that group, and then any worker who's in that same group can see.
Belongs to this group.
Yeah, any
Yeah.
work. So the case belongs to the group. The owner is assigned to the group, and so anyone in that group, any owner or not owner, a user is assigned to that group. So any user in that group can see any case that's in that group.
Okay, so the first method was a unique case to a unique user, a
Yes.
specific user.
Yeah, one to
So
one.
the first one is
Mhm.
like, yeah, one to one. So the second one is will be. So will be, you create so like a user, a bulk user, and you
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, it's groups. So what you would do if you wanted to do that was you would make a group.
Yeah.
You would put this user, this mobile worker, into that group. You would make sure that that group. This is actually where you would create a group. You can add a group here, and you would make sure that it's a case sharing group, which just means
Okay.
you're able to actually assign. Like, let me click on one of these case sharing groups. So this is a case sharing group called Tamba. This is its ID. So if I wanted this new case to belong to this group, I would, when I create this case, I would put that ID in the owner ID column. I don't actually need an owner name in that case. I would make the owner ID a group, the ID of a specific group. In this case,
Yeah.
Tamba. And then
Yeah.
I would upload this to CommCare, and if I wanted somebody to see that case on CommCare, I would add them as a member here. So who was I working with a second ago? Laji. So if I add him to this group, that is the owner of the case, then he would be able to see any cases in that group. But I can add more people. I can add a second person to that group, and then he will also be able to see that case. So that's the second sort of paradigm or model of case ownership. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah. Great.
So I actually have not been using this group system, but there's another way. Like, there's another way to do this case sharing concept, which is called organization. So here, organization structure. If we check that out, oh, I already had it open here. Here, you can set up your own little hierarchy. And if we see here, training 2024, you open that up, that's the top level, training 2024. And the next level down is like a country level. So I can click into that. And now I see all these people. These are actually training coordinators. So if I click into one of them, now I see training supervisors. And I click one of
If you
them,
double click, you will see the trainer.
and now I'm at the trainer level. So these are actually training agents
Yeah.
And
Yes,
so
I think.
it's a hierarchy. It's a giant hierarchy
Yeah.
of the training
Yeah.
team in Senegal and in Mali. And so now, if I look at what this is, it's it's an agent. It's a training agent, but it doesn't have to be. Like I could have done this differently. I could have made like a geographic structure. Like I could have said, make my top level be Senegal, and then make the next level be a region, and the next level be a zone,
Next
the next
one
level
will
be a
be a
village.
village.
Yeah, or even VE after that. I could really, you can do whatever structure makes sense to you in the activity. But in this case, I tried to model out the supervisory structure. So what this allows me to do is take a village. So I have this case list of villages, and I want a village to actually, I'm not going to use the village example. It's the same as personnel, but I'll use a personnel example. So personnel, this is another case list, just like village. And let's,
Clinton,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. So,
yeah.
could you re-explain so the case list, the case list? So I think it's very. I'm not pretty
Yeah,
comfortable with
makes sense.
case list.
Okay. Okay, so a case list is just a kind of like a table in a relational database. So
Okay.
this personnel is a case list. If I click on it, and you can know it's a case list because it has these 3 lines. That's just a symbol that means case list. And so we can click on it and see a little bit about it. So this one is called personnel underscore TR underscore 2024. So,
Yeah.
and I can just model out what this looks like in the spreadsheet. So it's called that. And I can see a little bit about it by checking on this form. So let me zoom in a little bit. Every case list gives you 2 kinds of forms you can make. You can either make a registration form, which will basically, the effect of this form is to add a new record into this case list, into the table. And then a follow-up form will modify one of the records. So this one right here, this is a registration form, which will add a new row to the table. And
the register will.
well, this is a registration form. So you can see it's a registration form because it has this little plus sign. That just means it's creating a new case. So this is just a type. So if I click this, it will create a new registration form here. And I can decide what questions will go in here. But in the end, after I fill out a form, a registration type form, it will open a case. It will add a new row to my personnel TR 2024
Yeah.
case list.
Sure. Okay.
But I already have a registration form. I just gave it a different name. It's called add personnel. So I don't actually need this one. Because register is just the default name, but you could change that name. So this one, add personnel, this adds a new record to my case list. See, I can change the name. It used to be called register but I named it add personnel, just to be more specific. So these are the different questions in my add personnel form. One of the questions sets a name. It's a text type question. Another one sets a role type. So a role can be either a VE, training agent, training supervisor, on up to a regional coordinator. Then there's also code. So it'll be either a VE code or training agent, HR code, whatever. You have country, zone, and current assignments. So these are just like default properties. So basically my case list looks something like this. Name, role, code, country,
Zone. Current assignment.
current assignments. So those are the properties that I chose to be part of this case list when a new case is created. So the way you do that is you just make a registration form. You add your properties that you want here. And then once you make that, you need to go to this little settings, this gear icon, and tell CommCare what to do with the data in this form. So in the settings here for this form, you have a tab called Case Management, and this is telling you, this is a registration form. Use the registration form to add new cases to your case list. I can even change it. We'll get to that. But, so what this does is it takes, if someone were to fill out this form, it would take whatever they put in the name question and save that to the property called name. So it would add a new record, it would put whatever they put in the name question right here. It would take whatever they put in the role question and put that under the case property role, and so on for all the different properties.
So Clinton, I didn't catch up what you were trying to say.
Yep.
So I got, how to say, a role on the left, and then I have a role on the right.
Yeah.
What is the difference between those two?
So this is, you're saying, save this question to a case property. So a case property is one of the columns in your case list. But a question is just one of the questions in your form. So you have this freedom to assign questions to a case property or not. You don't have to. You don't have to. Like, I can make a form, maybe, let me think of an example.
So just,
I'll think of an example. So let's say I have a property called, I don't know, salary, something like that. And then I might have a question in my, or I have several questions in my form that say, when I'm registering a new person, I have one question that says, how many years have they been working? And then another question that's like, I don't know, what's their age? And maybe they're, and then I have one of these hidden variables, a hidden value question, which is determining their salary based on, you know, maybe I have a calculation here where it's like 50 times that question plus 100 times that question. Maybe that's just my formula for determining what a salary, what their salary is. Then I could go into these settings and save this question to a property, but I could just ignore these questions because maybe I don't care about them. You don't have to save every question to a property. You can save whatever you want, and you can ignore whatever you want. So that just comes up a lot where you don't, like the data you're trying to get and save is derived from some other questions you have. So that's the difference between a question and a property. A question is something in your form. A property is what you're actually storing
Want to track.
to your case list.
Yeah.
Yeah, this registration form is creating a new case. And then all of these properties that I've now made part of my case list, I can use these anytime I download this case list, or I'll see all these properties. And I can also use them. So let's say I'm logged in as a mobile worker. I click on the start button, and this is, I think, one of the supervisors in Mali. We'll just take a look at what they see.
Okay.
I think it's taking a while because it's probably like looking up all of their data. Like it's sort of synchronizing in real time. So
Okay.
here, I'm actually looking at this case list, which is
VEs.
VEs. But
Yeah.
actually, this is just also the same case type. It's also personnel underscore TR underscore 2024.
2024.
Yeah. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. This one, anyway, it's not important yet. I'll get to that later. But, so if I click on this,
Okay.
there's just, yeah, there's levels of complexity at every point here. So we'll work our way up. So if I click on this VE list, we'll see what it does in a second. Okay, so now I'm looking at a list of V's. So I've got 18 pages of 5. And actually what I'm seeing here are individual cases in this personnel case list. And if we go back to our organization structure, these cases are assigned to these agents. So we can't really see exactly right here. We can just see the name of the VE and their village and village code. but they belong to one of these agents. So each of these agents is assigned about 15 VEs. And since they're assigned to this it's sort of like a case sharing group. It's like one of those groups we saw. Like each one of these agents is what's known as a location information. The name of the location is an agent, and the VE is assigned to that location. The location has its own unique code here. It's basically that agent's username, and then this underscore A, which stands for agent, underscore TR, which stands for training, underscore 2024. So the cases, the VEs are assigned to this location, and then that agent is also assigned to this worker is assigned to this location. So therefore, that agent can see the VEs assigned to them. But then also, anybody who's above them in the hierarchy can also see those cases. So that way, if Abubakar Siddiqui Sissoko goes to the field and meets that VE, he can click on the VE. This is actually a whole different case list of visits. So each row in this case list is an individual visit. And they can click on this faire visite and then go into a form that creates a new record on the visit table. And so let's say I'm doing a quality control visit, and it's going to be let's do recensement. And now I'm seeing les points de qualité for recensement. So it's asking me, okay, for this VE that you selected, how did they fulfill these points de qualité? Which ones did they respect? And then what were some points of advice you gave them? And then finally, telling me the score of my visit. So I think there were 7 points de qualité, and I selected like 5. Just telling me the overall statistics.
Average score.
Yeah, like I only did this is the first one for this VE, but so afterwards it would say 2 and then give me the overall average, and then finally just comments. So that's the end of the form. I won't actually submit it, but
once you do that, the record will be updated in the database.
Yes.
So the case list, yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, what we have going here is a further level of complexity. So this case list right here is a list of personnel. So each row is an individual. You know, some of them are VEs, some of them are training agents, some of them are training supervisors. But everybody's on there, most of them. Eventually they will all be on there. This doesn't exist. But then there's also another list called Visit TR 2024. And this list is a little different. It still has a case ID and a name. We can see it right here. So what's going on here is when I open this form here, oh, kids are home from school. Okay, so what I'm trying to set up here is have like related tables. So I've got my list of personnel, and then so when they click on a VE, they're selecting somebody from the list of personnel. This is a case list of also the same type, so it's actually looking at the same people, just filtered down by role type. So right now, I'm actually looking at this case list, and I'm picking somebody from that, and now it's going in, and now it's looking at a list of visits filtered down to just that one VE. So how does that work? So let's say I've got this guy is named Ba Traore. He's a VE. I don't know what his code is. I know they're from Mali. Not sure what the zone is either. But the assignment is, we just saw that a second ago. Boli Tomon.
Buliotomon.
And their case ID is probably something like this. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's something like that. So when I selected them, now I'm looking at a list of visits, different case lists, right here. But there's, in addition to a case ID, which is something like this again, completely different, unique, there's also a foreign key on here, which is going to be parent case ID. And it's going to be associated with some case in a different list. So we'll also have parent case type. And in this one, the parent case type is going to be personnel. Oops. Personnel underscore TR 2024. And the case ID is going to correspond to one of these records. So there might be multiple rows here. And they're all going to have different case IDs.
Case ID.
But they could
But
also...
the parent case ID will be the same.
Yeah. So let's say I visit this VE 4 times. If I register 4 QC visits or 4 trainings or whatever, I'll have 4 records, each with a different case ID, but all having the same parent case ID. So pointing to the same case on my personnel list. So what's the rest of this data associated with a visit? We can see here. So when this form gets filled out, VE visit, a few things happen. It's a follow-up form, which we already looked at what a registration form is. This is a follow-up form. So it's actually modifying the case that they selected. So for example, when they fill out this visit form, it's updating a column called visits done. So on our personnel list, we have a property here called visits done, and we have another one called average score. So there's actually two more properties here. So every time I fill out this V visit form, in the form,
TR.
let me show you this question. In the form, this is the content of my V visit form. There's a hidden value here called visits done. And it has this formula here. Have you seen like a coalesce function before? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, the coalesce function, yes.
Yeah. So it works the
I know.
same as in like SQL or something. So it's saying,
SQL, yes.
So it's saying, check, and before I say that, this down here is pretty important. So right here, I'm looking at my app properties. So right now, I'm working with a form under this case type personnel, TR 2024. So I actually have available in this form, I have all of the properties of this case type and all the properties of the user even who's using the device. So I can do something like this. This visits done property here is the value in my case list under that column. So let's say Ba Traore has already 2 visits done, and now I'm filling out this VE visit form. What this function will do is it'll say, go and check visits done column. And if there's a value there, coalesce will coalesce down to whatever value is there. So in this case, it'll go in there, it'll see 2. And then, so the output of this question here, visits done, will be 2 plus 1. So it's just an iterator. It's iterating the visits done by 1. But let's say it went and checked visits done, and actually it was null. There's nothing there. In that case, it's saying, well, there's nothing there. So in that case, I will coalesce this down to 0. So in that case, visits done at the end of this form becomes a 1.
One.
So yeah, and then at the end of this form, when I submit it, it's taking whatever value is in that hidden value question and saving that to the case property visits done. So
Visits done.
we're not, since it's a follow-up form, we're not adding a new record here. We're not adding a new case. We're not doing that. We're just, we've already accessed, we've chosen one of the cases that already exist, and we're just modifying some of the data that's already there, or adding new columns on for that record.
So the follow-up just update the
Yep.
case.
Just updates.
Okay.
Just updates cases.
And maybe add some property.
Yeah, you can add properties. Like if I, like you notice that visits done and average score, I didn't have those in my registration form. They were not properties that I was saving then. I just created them here for the first time. But once I made them once I fill out this form for personnel, now that case exists. Or now they have data in that case, in that column. So, like as it is right now, this guy doesn't have any visits done yet. So for him, his data looks like this. Those columns exist. Like if I download the case export, he's going to be there. But these columns are going to be blank. They'll be null. But once we fill out a visit form, just 1, then this is going to be a 1, and this average score will be something like that. It'll be a floating point value representing the score from that first visit. Make sense so far?
So, Clinton, if I want to record yes, if I want to store every record from the VE visits, not update the case, but just to display all the visits
Yeah.
that this guy had made.
Mm-hmm.
I've made, sorry.
Yeah.
So
that's what's next. So what we saw up here was just us telling CommCare to use that form we just filled out and update 2 properties on the personnel case list. So this form, when they submit it, vvisit, when they submit it, it will update the visits done by incrementing whatever's there by 1, and then recalculate the average score.
score.
So let's say the first score was 0.5, and on the second score they got 100%. So now my average score will be 0.75. So that's what happens on this personnel list. But if we scroll down, we also see that this form opens a child case list, a child case in a case list called Visit TR 2024. So
Okay.
It's both updating this record and creating a record over here. So when we fill out that form, it's going like this, and then adding data to the columns over here. So does that make sense? I know you're wondering, like, okay, that's visit done, average score, but what about the actual visit data? Yeah. So that's
It makes
secondary
sense.
effect here of that form. So when I when I create that case, or when I fill out this form, it's saving the name, the visit date, GPS coordinates, objective, flash training module, the flash farmer awareness, points, all these things. So there's a bunch of these. Quality control type. So these are all properties of a specific visit.
Clinton, please hold on. Please
Yeah.
go back.
Mm-hmm.
So I see hash from triple hash, and then quels sont les points de qualité?
Yeah.
So this question is part of our. Let me show give the right name. It's part of the question. Yes, we have on our case list, and then here.
Actually, no. This is a question in the form. So
your question.
Yeah, it corresponds to one of these. Quels sont les points de qualité bien respectés?
And then you have to match the question with the right property.
Yeah,
case
the right
property.
case property. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
So you notice that there is no like identification data here. You know, it doesn't say what VE it is. It doesn't say what zone we're in. It doesn't say any of that stuff. It doesn't, because that doesn't matter. We can already figure that out. Like, we know what VE this is for by looking at the ID who it belongs to, or who it refers to in this other list. So what this table, Visit TR 2024, is keeping track of is the actual result of that visit. So what quality points did they satisfy or not? What was their score? Which number visit is this? Those kinds of, what comments did they give about them? So that's what's going on here. So this guy doesn't have any visits yet, but we can look and see there was somebody that does have one. This guy has a visit. He has one visit. It was on September 11th. It was a QC visit. It was the first one, and they got a 71% score. And so, I wonder if we can find someone as two. Probably not. Yeah, I probably visited most people only once so far. Yeah, but that's basically it. So that's the structure. Where it gets complicated is just that we've got more than one role here. You know, so there's VEs, but there's also training agent, there's training supervisor. And so on. There's lots of different roles there. And what's a little bit tricky is just kind of like, why do I have so many case lists here? There's actually not that many case lists. There's only two. You just have personnel, TR 2024, and visit, TR 2024. But what I have going here is, this is this is a personnel case type. So when I click on that case list, you see it's referring to this personnel table. So it's checking that personnel table. And then it's also, if we look at case list, it's displaying just their name and their current assignments, and then also their average score. But then it's filtering. It's filtering that list down to only those where the role equals VE. Right? So it's checking, it's just doing this. It's saying, all right, let's show all the personnel, but only the ones where the role equals VE. And that's what it's displaying here. It's also doing some filtering based on FC. So if the mobile user is an FC, it's also filtering, checking the zone of the FC, and only displaying VEs from that FC zone. That's kind of why I'm doing that here is something we can talk about later. But that's just to give you an idea. It's filtering down that list. Now, this one is actually a list of visits. So it's this visit TR 2024. You can see that here. Case type visit TR 2024. And what's actually happening is, if I look at case list, when they select this, it's selecting a parent first. So we know that every record in this visit table has a parent. None of them are orphans. They all have some parent. So before letting them see the list of visits, it's saying, first, pick the personnel, pick the VE, and then we'll filter down the visits you'll see to just the ones that apply to that parent. That's what's going on here by this select parent first. And you can see that it's using the case list from VE filter list. So it's going to present them with this list of VEs here, And then they pick one, and then it shows them a list of visits. And the way I have this set up is that, yeah, basically the effect is that when they click on start, it's just showing them this menu, but then making them pick their VE first. And then once they pick the VE, then it's showing them the list of visits. So, and if this is confusing, I know. It is confusing. CommCare, this is kind of a tricky thing.
Very confusing.
It took me a long time to figure this out. Like, how do I set this up to make it do this? Like, I just want them to, pick a V. Now they can see their visits. Why does it have to be so complicated? It just is. But can't do anything about it. So finally, how do I get them, like, once I'm at this visit list, I can see all the different visits. I need to make it so that I can click on a little button at the bottom of the list, and that will open up the form which will create a new visit. So what's going on here is this button, even though I'm looking in this folder here, this button is actually linked to this form. So I can see that right here. I'm making the registration form for this case list accessible from the case list itself. I've just selected, it's looking for all the different forms in my project that create a new case under the visit TR case type and giving me the option, which one do I want this button to point to? And I picked the one called VE visit. So that gives me this kind of structure where I can see my list of visits that have already been done and then click on it to create a new one. How do we actually go about modifying this?
Yeah, this is right.
Yeah.
The major.
Yeah.
So did you see the screenshot I have provided to you?
Yeah. Pretty simple. So we've just got where's that? Attitude, competence, effort. So it's just like this is kind of like a Likert scale, or yeah, like a scale. Like they want to.
What?
Is it Likert? No, that's not that. Just the scale 1 to 5, right? They just want to be able to
Okay, yeah.
rank them from 1 to 5 for each of those.
Yeah, and then see the command, the note that the field, I don't know if it's the farm or the trainer or the coordinator, or I don't know, whoever will do it, but I want to say the scale between 1 to 5 and then put the comments.
Okay. Well, in this form, we already have comments.
That's a global comment.
Yeah, that's not what they want. They want for each of those things, like attitude, competence, they want
effort.
So they want comments for each one.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they want, first of all, they want the note or the ranking.
Gotcha. And then
So
a
give
space for them to actually write comments about that
exactly,
attribute.
yeah, about that note.
Okay.
Yeah, and those fields must be mandatory.
Mandatory. Okay. Okay. So let's look at this form a little bit, understand what's in here. So
Okay, yeah.
it starts out, we've got all these different hidden values. They're each doing something different. And if we click on, after those, we see date de visite. So this is just a date selector type question. So they're actually picking the date that they did the visit on. It's required, as you can see here. It has a validation, so it's saying this question, that's what that period is, the input for this question must be less than today's date, less than or equal to today's date, and greater than today's date minus 30.
Today.
So they need to input a date within the last 30 days. And then they have to capture the GPS coordinates. And then we get into this question called objective. What are they trying to do? Is it a flash training? Or is it a quality control? So they need to select which one they're doing. After that, depending on what they put here, we've got these two different folders. So you see this one, it is linked to this question. So this here is like a node linked to that question, and it's a display condition. So it's only displaying this folder if the response to this question is flash.
Flash.
So how do you make these kinds of display conditions? You can just grab the question, drag it in there, and then put it equals, and then drag the response you want. And this is like the ID for this response. So basically, this is a branch point. So if they select this question, this response, they'll go into this folder. Otherwise, if they select this one, they'll go into that folder.
Yeah, I saw this feature in the Google form. You can see when you create a form
Yeah.
and want to display a question regarding an answer you provided. Yeah.
Yeah. Same idea.
Yeah.
You can get a lot more complex though in this than you can with Google Form. That's for sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So, do we know what type of visit we want this to apply to, or is it any type of visit?
Yeah. This came. I end up with this question. It's come to my mind. So I think this goes to maybe where we note the VE. They say is within 2024 formation.
Yeah,
training.
but okay, so let's just put it everywhere. So, I mean, so the idea here is if I'm a ag trainer or a training agent, I'm probably usually doing this formation flash. They have these formation flash to do with the VEs.
Okay.
So they'll go into this section.
Maybe I can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can ask how Lycone is online.
Okay, but we can also just put it there, and everybody. I'll show you what I'm about to say. So that will have the. If I'm a training agent, I'll go into this folder, and it will present me with a list of quality points, which are actually.
Yeah.
Man, this app really has everything, doesn't it? So we have something called lookup tables, which are just like tables of data that you can update and display in forms. So like in this case, I've got 5 tables. Each one is a list of quality points. So let's say I have this one called VE Flash Farmer Awareness QPs, and it's a list of quality points that the field team has decided on. So in my form, I have a multiple choice checkbox style question, and instead of like manually writing in the options, like I've done here, like I can manually add choices. Actually, I'm just linking this multiple choice question to a lookup table. And that way, if I have multiple questions that are all referring to this list of quality points, I can just update this lookup table once here, and it will display that change in all places that are referencing it. So that's what's going on here. It's asking them about the quality points for this activity that we've selected, and then it's also calculating the score. So here it's calculating the size, the number of options in this lookup table, and then getting the number of points that they selected. Like maybe they selected 4 quality points. So it's taking the number that they selected divided by the total number of possible points and calculating a score. Yeah, and then once they finish that, then it will skip to conseil, and it will ask them, what 3 points of advice did you give? Finally, summarize the outcome, and at the end, ask for comments, generally. So, what we can do, why don't we just make another one of these sections right here. So what this is, you notice how this is a folder, but this is like a little hamburger menu. So this just means, this is called a question list. This just means everything you put in here will appear on the same page in the form. So
Please show me.
yeah. So for example, this date de visite and coordonnées GPS and objectif, these are not within one of these question lists. You see, they're all kind of their own separate node. So these will each appear on separate pages. But then, once I get to this conseil section, I've got a label tag, and then I've got a text input question, a second text input question, and a third text input question. But I have them all on the same question list. So when I go into here, open this form, date de visite, it's on its own page. It's not sharing the page with anything else. Coordonnées GPS also on its own page, nothing else there. Objectif also on its own page, nothing else there. This is also on its own page. But now this one, this is a question list as well.
Oh.
So I'm seeing, I'm not seeing these hidden values, these don't get shown, but I am seeing this label right there. I'm also, this is a label, just like a spacer. You don't actually see in the phone, you don't see this little box. Just on this preview you do. In the phone, it just appears as like a slight spacing between those two. Also these hashtag symbols, these are just formatting. Like if I add more, this is markdown.
Markdown, yeah.
Exactly. So, and then the multiple choice checkbox style, that's on the same page because I have them all on a case list. So there it is. So if I pick them, pick the responses, continue, since I selected flash for objective, it skipped over QC, and now it's onto this conseil page, and it's showing me all this stuff because I told it to keep it all on one page for me with this question list. You can see that here if I go to add question, groups, question list. I guess I thought maybe there'd be a tool tip might say what it does, but anyway, that's what it does. So we could just add another question list here. So like this, question list. Let's put it before conseil. And we'll call this, I think this
Attitude.
concept is called the RAS.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then, or I guess only us. We're not talking about results. And then there's going to be a multiple choice question.
Maybe a checkbox.
I don't think so, because we're selecting from 1 to 5, right?
Yeah.
So checkbox would let them select multiple. So
Okay.
you wouldn't
okay.
you wouldn't want them to select 4
Regardless.
and 5 or 1 and 5. So just 1 to 5.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. And this one would be called attitude. Required. And our options are 1, 2, 3, 4,
And 5.
5. Now I've got the same thing basically 2 more times. So I can press Control C. Well, with this selected, Control C, Control V, Control V again. Oops. That doesn't look right. Control V, Control V again. And I've got the same question 3 times. And this one, saying attitude, copy 1 of attitude. I want that to be competence.
Yeah. So you need to change the creation ID too.
Yep. And then the last one,
Effort.
Oops. And there's actually one more. So what this will do is it will make like a top to bottom type options, but I kind of like from right to left. I think that's a better format, especially for if this was text options, it might be long and you want them to be separate lines. But there are ways to format these applications. And I always forget how to do it, but you can go to the settings here, or the help page. In the meantime, while that's loading, you wanted to also have a text box for input. So if I put text, commentaire, let's do observation. What do you think? What do they want for the text input?
Please, I didn't follow you for a while. So not for a while, for a quick time.
Okay, 1 second. Appearance. What I was just wondering is, do we want a label on this text input box? Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't necessarily. But
so if you can just provide the
text input.
the end result of what we have already done on the mobile layout. Maybe I can advise.
Yeah. So I've made these text input questions right after each ranking 1 to 5. And I think what I usually do here is add this formatting. It just looks better on the phone. This one maybe I'll do, no, that doesn't have a label. So, but I think I do want just a space between there. Label. Just to separate each question from the others. It just looks better on the phone, so. I didn't spell appearance right. Oops. Mm-mm. So these are also to be obligatory, required.
Yeah.
And I think when I can also make it so that there is link message, validation message. No. Yeah, maybe I want some indication of what they're supposed to do here. Come on. Yeah. Sur attitude. Let's go with that. Commentaire sur attitude. It'll be like some text, but just a little bit discreet, not taking up too much space.
Yeah.
Compétence. Commentaire sur effort. Okay. Finally, this is just not, there we go. Okay. So what's going on here is just information about all the ways you can change the layout of these questions. So, for example, formatting the questions in this way or something, which is not the default setup. So I'm looking for one that's kind of like what I want. There you go. This is hint text. It's like hint text appears as tiny italics under the question's text. maybe not what I'm looking for. What I wanted to do is just I want it to be kind of like this, where it'll say like attitude, and then just have 1, 2, 3, 4,
2, 3,
five, and then have
and 5.
5 bubbles
Yeah.
here, side by side. I think
Yeah.
that just matches what they have on the image you shared, and I think would be more concise. So you can see what it looks like now. See, that's all linear like that. Commentaire sur attitude, compétence, all like that. Commentaire sur compétence. So I think what I want to do is make a throwaway question. First question, define the headers. So not actually be able to record data to it. For that question, the advanced section, make a label. And then another one, list no label. All right, I think I know what I have to do. So there's going to be a regular label here. This will be called attitude. And then here, this will be attitude label. No. Let's see this again. Choose for each. I don't actually want that. Label. So this is going to be, I'm going to leave this blank. Attitude labels. And then appearance attribute label. And then I make another question, like the same thing. This one is called attitude. And it is a list no label. So now the actual label attitude is its own separate label. This is just going to show the numbers, but not actually show any selectors. And then this might show the bubbles. Let's hope this works. Yes, no. That's too far. That's the right idea. Why is there so much space in there?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if this is going to work on the phone fine. List no label. Label. Sometimes this stupid thing doesn't look good, but then on the phone it looks just fine. Let's try that actually. Before I go any further. Can I join a huddle on my phone as well? Huddle. Use both devices. No mic. Uh-oh. No sound, please. Okay. Share screen. I want to find CommCare. Can you see my phone screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Okay, so I made these changes to the application, but I can't actually
Did you
view them yet.
release it?
No, not yet. So I have to do that now. Make a new version. But once I make a new version, I'm going to leave it in test mode.
Yeah.
I'm trying to mute this. I don't want this. Okay. No, still not done yet. Okay, version is made. Now I'm going to scan the barcode. I need to actually uninstall this one. No, not this one. Full mouse here. Uninstall.
Yeah.
And then install an app. Select barcode. Scan the barcode. This is the person I'm using, ML. Let me just pick some agent. ML63620. So right now, it's connecting with this user and getting any cases that are destined for this user. So, like it's
Yeah.
getting village cases, training cases, personnel, and visit cases. And it downloaded them and now it's just parsing them and I guess it's doing it again. Maybe a little faster this time. It also might, like, if I have data on my phone that needs to be shared with the server, it's also sending data. So it's receiving data from the server or sending data.
Sure. The server. Because you told me that CommCare work offline too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you can still use CommCare, and then once you are connected.
Yeah. So you already see this kind of looks a little bit different than it did on the computer. I got this nice icon.
Yeah, sure.
The date selector looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
See, it's telling me no, I can't do it tomorrow. Record location. Formation flash. Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah.
See?
What is competence and what is it? Yeah.
I just didn't do
Okay,
the other
okay,
ones
yes.
yet, but attitude will be here, and then the other ones will be exactly the same. So it'll be like
Yeah.
select the score and then put commentary ici, like that. How does that look?
Great. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, I just need to set up the other ones the exact same way.
Yeah, you saved me. You saved me, buddy.
No problem, man. We're in this together. I mean,
So,
you are saving me, really. Like, I would never be able to do all this stuff.
train us.
Yeah,
If you train us, yeah.
I know, but I need to train
Okay.
you. So, like, we really do. There's a lot to learn. Like, we just covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I pity you to have to learn all this so fast, but it's okay. Like, we'll take it day by day, little by
Yeah.
little,
I
and
will
you'll just,
schedule, yeah.
yeah. So,
Recurring meeting.
yeah. Or just every time, like, I get a request, like, I'll try and do it with you. If you get a request, like, if you got this request, and if you make it happen, and they see results tomorrow, they're gonna be like, "Oh, damn, Frank, you get shit done," and then they're gonna come back to you with more stuff.
Yeah,
So
that is true.
yeah, it's not gonna end, but that's okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
where were we? V visit. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So now I pretty much just want to copy this stuff. We're really almost done. I think since this has all the structure I want, I'm just gonna delete the rest of this. And copy this. Are you still there? Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Copy that. Paste that. And copy it one more time, including that little spacer. So now, attitude. The second attitude is compétence.
Yes, we have attitude, competence, and effort.
This is called compétence label. This is called compétence. Compétence comments. And then, oh, I also need to change that little label here. Compétence. Commentaire sur compétence. This one, we've got effort. The question title label, this effort thing doesn't really matter because it's just a label.
Okay.
Effort, and then effort comments, and then commentaire sur effort. All right. So now there's a couple more steps here. Not quite done. So I've got this little ACE module. I'm going to copy that. No. First, I'm going to go to the settings. Need to go to the settings because as of now, if I just deploy it as it is, it will have absolutely no effect on the case list.
Yeah.
So I actually need to tell it which of those questions I want to save to which properties. So what I want here is just competence or attitude comments, and so on. Competence comments, effort comments. So I'm in the settings for this form now. Add properties and look up attitude comments, competence comments, effort comments,
Go to
and
effort comments.
Yep. And that's it. So now save that. And one final thing that I didn't tell you about yet is that
Yeah.
in this setup that I have here, I have to save this. In this setup, I can actually go and see the data from a past visit. So if this ever reloads, so right here, if I click on VEs, and so I've got this, under this VEs question list, I see this form called modifier visite.
Modifier visit, yes.
Yeah. So if I click on this guy, I know he already has a visit done. So I click on that VE, and man, this is slow. So what if I want to like fix something or see more details about that visit? So I'm looking at all the visits I've done with this guy. This one is the first one I did, and it shows me the date, the type, and the score. I can click on it. And it will actually load up the form, but with the data previously filled out. So it's like I'm opening up that form that was used to create the visit in the first place, but it's actually like a copy of the form. And modifier visite right here. But you'll notice that it has the date already. So it's not today's date, it's the date that he filled out the form. Right here, it already has QC selected. It already has point de qualité VE. It already has all the PDQs set up. Some comments. So this is the data that they entered in before. So they're just able to see it and like fix it or modify it.
Yeah.
So in order for that to happen, I actually need to like maintain that same form twice in two places, right here, but then also right here. But that's easy enough. I can just, if I make a change to something here, I can just copy the module from the one, put it into the second one. I actually need to check the properties and look for make these the default value for those. That way it'll preload them. Are you skydiving or is that like a fan?
Can you hear me, Clinton?
Yeah. Sounds like you jumped out of an airplane.
Yeah, I'm out.
Really windy there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Yes, you have wine, so I'm just trying to keep myself.
So I just I copied those questions into this modification form and made it so that they will display by default the data from those fields. And I'm just checking to make sure it works here. Sometimes it doesn't. And now I need to save those and then I'll be done once I deploy it. Attitude, competence, comments, effort. Save. Saved, publish, make conversion, done with all this stuff. And released. All right, all set. So now they just need to hit update on the application and it will find version 380 and they will from now on see that extra page we just added.
Okay, Clinton. So right now, they need to reload the app and then they will see the changes.
They need to update. So they probably know how to update, but I can show you just in case.
Okay, please.
Oops. Let me stop sharing here and then share on my phone again. Can you still hear me? You don't see my phone? Okay. So right now you see I've got version 376. So right here I'm logged in as this user. But if I check on the settings, I click on About CommCare, you see version 376 up here. So if I click on the first option in the menu, Update App, it checks to see if there's a newer version. It found version 380. Click on the big green button, and I'm all set. So now, it's going to resynchronize. And double check that everything looks good. Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. You can't see my phone? Yeah. You see it? Attitude, compétence, effort. Okay. I see one mistake. It's requiring a response for this label, even though there is nothing to click on. So I need to take off the required for the label. And okay, my computer appears to have frozen. Can you still hear me? Okay. So you see the issue here. It's telling me I need to input a response for these labels, even though they actually don't have an input. So I just need to deactivate the required property of these labels. So I'll do that really quick, but it just appears my computer has sort of frozen. So give it a second.